Welcome to the Coaches Show here on Saturday, January 15th. We've got a whole lot of action to discuss, so let's get right into it. Starting with a weekend review, we'll be talking Lady Cats basketball, and we'll start out by talking about their week. They lost at Hallsville on Tuesday in a tough one, but missing some key players and weren't able to pull out the win, but still gave them a lot of confidence because it's never easy to win over at Bobcat Coliseum. Last night, Friday night, January 14th, they were at home and they won versus Longview, a very scrappy Lady Lobo squad. They won 39-31. And next up, they'll be taking on the District 15 5A leading Mount Pleasant Lady Tigers on Tuesday, January 18th at 6:15 p.m. So be sure to head out to the main gym on Tuesday to see some Lady Cat basketball. Men's basketball, they lost versus Hallsville as well on Tuesday. That was at home. They lost in overtime 63-59 in a real heartbreaker. But last night they were in Longview and able to hold on against, again, a scrappy Lobo team, 62-57. Just like Lady Cats basketball, they'll be playing Mount Pleasant. But while the Lady Cats will be completing a 2-game homestand on Tuesday. Again, last night they played Longview. Tuesday they played Mount Pleasant. The men have a 2-game road stand. So last night in Longview, Tuesday they'll be in Mount Pleasant. Always a tough place to play, especially under Coach Joey Chisholm there for the Tigers. That game is on Tuesday, January 18th at 7:30 p.m. And then both soccer teams, they've been locked in for tournament play. But Tuesday, men's soccer lost to Terrell 3-2. They were down 3-0 and came back within one, but the comeback fell just short as they fell 3-2 to Terrell. And then Thursday through Saturday, they've been in the Lobo Invitational in Longview. They lost versus Lufkin on Friday, and then almost forgot to mention Thursday they lost versus Tyler's Chapel Hill in their opening contest 3-1. But today they have a chance to make up some of those losses by taking on Forney at 11:30 a.m. And then after that, on Tuesday, they'll be hosting Highland Park at Gerald Prim Stadium, January 18th at 7:15 p.m. Women's soccer, Monday they got a big shutout and blowout win of the Princeton Lady Panthers, 5-0. Haley Schultz was able to complete the hat trick by scoring 3 goals in the win over the Lady Panthers. And then this weekend they've been in the Lady Jackrabbit Invitational in Forney. Thursday they lost to McKinney North 4-1, and then took on Forney's JV squad and lost 5-1. Saturday they take on Wiley, another tough opponent in 6A, ranked in the preseason top 10 of women's soccer. But on Tuesday, they'll be at Tyler back on the road, Tuesday, January 18th at 6 p.m. And then looking ahead to next week, team tennis and powerlifting really get their seasons underway. Tennis was originally scheduled to be at Sherman last week. That was originally last Thursday, then moved to Saturday due to the mist that rolled through North and Northeast Texas. But that game was ultimately pushed back and canceled. So team tennis really gets their season underway on Friday in the Hallsville tournament. And powerlifting are in Rains the following day, next Saturday, January 22nd. But that's all for Wildcat and Lady Cat Sports in Review. When we return from a commercial break, we'll be talking with assistant coach Donald Butler to discuss all things Lady Cats basketball. Welcome back to the Coaches Show here on Saturday, January 15th. Before we went to commercial break, we did all things Wildcat, Lady Cat Sports in Review. But joining us today is Coach Donald Butler, assistant coach to Eric Cadelli and the women's basketball team. Coach, thanks for joining us.
I appreciate you having me.
And Coach, with this being your first time on the show, why don't you tell the good people of Sulphur Springs a little bit about yourself?
Well, I've been coaching in more than several places. This is my 36th year to coach. This is my 3rd straight year to coach with Coach Deli. And of course, I'm really enjoying it. I've coached throughout Oklahoma and Texas, and probably know the coaches of 2/3 of the teams that we play.
Yeah, I was about to say, between you joining Coach Deli's staff in Greenville, and then obviously Greenville, they like to play Sulphur Springs usually about every couple of years. So you kind of get a good feel for this district. But you joined Coach Deli's staff in Greenville, is that correct?
In Greenville.
And so when the opportunity came down that she was thinking about going to Sulphur Springs, what was your reaction?
I was more than happy for her. And at the time, I was on the way back to Oklahoma, and there were some things I wanted to go back to Oklahoma City. I promised a good friend of mine, and he left and went to Tulsa, and he said, "You want to go to Tulsa?" I said, "No way." and then me and Coach Deli, we were really good friends, and we were talking to each other on the phone. She said, "Oh, just come to Sulphur Springs. Why not Sulphur Springs?"
And so the rest is history. Now you're here with the Lady Cats, and admittedly, it was a bit of a rough start to the season. Just about everything conceivable that could go wrong did go wrong for your squad between injuries, players no longer with the team, a bit of a rough start. But last night you got to play one of your old gigs in Longview. And was this your first time that you've played the Lobos since you've coached there?
Yes, it was the first time, unless we played them in a tournament in Greenville. I'm not sure. But I think this was the first time that I can recall playing them.
And then, so when you were working at Longview, were you working for women's basketball, men's basketball?
I was assistant basketball under Coach Smith at the time. And I think we were highly ranked in the state at the time. I know we had an under freshman team that were playing JV basketball because they were so skilled.
But the Lady Cats were able to get a scrappy Lobos squad last night, beating them 39-31 at the SSHS main gym. A hard-fought win between two schools looking to stay in the playoff race for 15-5A.
It was a really good game. It's just one of those games where both teams, went out and played hard. It was, it was evenly contested, and I like to think the better team won, but it was one of the more enjoyable games of the year.
Yeah, that's for sure. And you're talking about how it was a very evenly matched game, and something we were talking about before we began the coaches show this morning. Sulphur Springs was able to kind of build a little bit of a lead going into the second. At one point, it was 10 points, 20-10, but then a couple of miscues, gaffes, mistakes, whatever you want to call them, and Longview's kind of able to build themselves back into it, only trailing 20-18. And then in the third quarter, there was a period there where both teams were quite literally trading buckets. So a very evenly matched contest last night. And then we're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we return, we'll be talking more Lady Cats basketball in just a moment. Welcome back to the Coaches Show here on Saturday, January 15th, joined by assistant coach for the Lady Cats, Donald Butler. So, Coach, before we went to commercial break, we discussed a little bit about the tough start to the season, but recently you and your squad are starting to develop some momentum. Last Tuesday, getting your first win at home and first win in district play at home, blowing out Pine Tree 49-29 thanks to some hot shooting by your players. Tuesday, we talked about a tough loss to Hallsville, 58-37, always a tough place to play at Bobcat Coliseum. And then last night, beating Longview 39-31. So when your team started 0-19 with Coach Deli, I talked about that with her after the win last night. But after that, your team has gone 4-3 since this basically the start of the new year.
We got a relatively young team, and we knew going in that we were really going to have to attack the skill level. We're going to have to wrap this team around our senior Jasmine Taylor and our junior Addison Wall, and there were going to be some learning pains. We were going to have to take some lumps, but once we got everything together and give all of that to Coach Deli. Now, Coach Deli did a great job. She's a fantastic skills coach, and she did a great job of getting, moving those young girls, enabling those young girls to play the way they needed to play. They're playing like juniors right now. They came in, they're freshmen, never been on the varsity floor, and all of a sudden they move up, and she's just done a fantastic job. And, along with Coach A, just game after game, you see the improvement.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's something we kind of talked about earlier on the Coaches Show, as I was talking about with Coach Deli, how this looks like almost a completely different team between their confidence, their energy, and the way they look like they're having fun out there, but also still competing really well. And so 2 wins in the Kaufman tournament, some 2 of the last 3 wins. Your team's now 4-3 over recently, developed a lot of chemistry over the last month. And but you've got another tough contest ahead of you on Tuesday with District 15-5A leading Mount Pleasant.
And we look forward to challenges. And I think now, instead of being a little nervous going into it, I think the girls look forward. They look forward to a challenge. They look forward to games. They're practicing harder. And they're starting to loosen up and enjoy themselves. Like Coach Deli tell them, basketball is enjoyable. Whatever happens on the court happens on the court. We just go out there and do our best, and I think that's what we've been doing these last 4 or 5 games, going out there competing.
Absolutely, and you're totally right. I mean, the fact that your team was almost able to pull out a win at Bobcat Coliseum against Hallsville, no less, is a really showing a sign that a month ago you first played Mount Pleasant in your first district contest, and fortunately your squad was routed a bit there, but no doubt this is a completely different team than it was a month ago.
Oh, yes.
And we're going to take one last commercial break, and then we will wrap up the Coaches Show here on Saturday, January 15th. Welcome back to the Coaches Show here on Saturday, January 15th. We've been joined by Assistant Coach Donald Butler for Lady Cats basketball, talking all things women's basketball. And we talked about before the commercial break, you've got another tough challenge that your team is looking forward to on Tuesday, hosting Mount Pleasant, as your team traveled to the Mount Pleasant to take on the Lady Tigers in your district opener a month ago yesterday, December 14th. But a new team, essentially, a lot of confidence, and a team that's really starting to develop chemistry, so a good challenge ahead of you with Mount Pleasant.
Well, again, we look forward to the challenge. The last Mount Pleasant game, I think we started really well, and then of course Mount Pleasant with their experience and with the kind of team they had, they eventually pulled off with us. We started making mistakes and all of that, and the same mistakes that we had been making, I don't think we're making those now. It's just that we just got to get better at what we do. And I think we will present them with a much larger challenge than we did the last game.
And it should be a great one. And with the men's basketball team on, as we talked about earlier, in the second game of a 2-game road stand, Lady Cats and basketball fans in general have another chance to see your squad take on the number 1 team in Mount Pleasant. And last night they were in Longview at Pine Tree, and we were trying to look up the score for the game during the commercial break, but assuming they could get that win, they are now 6-0 in district, and Marshall and T High squared off last night, both 4-1. So those teams deciding who was second and third at this moment. Hallsville in fourth at 3-3. They were on a bye yesterday. But if Sulphur Springs was able to get that win over Hallsville, they could have had 4th place. But Cats no doubt have a good contest and can keep those playoff hopes alive and stay in the race by getting a potential big win over Mount Pleasant on Tuesday.
And that's our goal. And like I said, after every game, we have that same principle next game. It's just next game up, and we're totally focused as players and coaches on doing what we need to do to get that. We expect to have an excellent practice on Monday, and who knows, when we come out on Tuesday, I like to invite all of those people that came out to watch us play at the beginning of the year to come back, and I think they'll be pleasantly surprised.
I think they'll absolutely be too. And then some key success on Tuesday versus the Lady Tigers. Obviously, you're going to need some good shooting from your 2 standouts, upperclassmen, both Jasmine Taylor behind the line, and then, of course, Addison Wall.
Shooting, play with a little more poise, play with confidence, and just play our game. Don't get caught up in everybody else's. Play our game, run our stuff, do what Coach Daly has taught us, and just play our game.
And then anything else you'd like to add, Coach?
I would like to thank the fans that have came and on the road and supported us and all of this. And like I've said, we've said from the very beginning, we're a young team, and we're going to grow, and we're going to continue to get better and give praise to the girls. That's exactly what they've done over the last 4 games.
And praise they should get after a rough start, able to go 4-3 as of recent, 2 district wins, and really looks like it's nothing but up for the Lady Cats basketball program.
Yes, and I think going into this game, I think that we have a chance. We have an opportunity. Like you said, we keep our hot shooting up. We get a player back that we didn't have the last game. And, who knows what happens from there.
I think I speak for so many fans when I say we look forward to another great contest in the SSHS main gym on Tuesday, hosting Mount Pleasant. Thanks so much for joining us, Coach.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And that'll do it for us here on Saturday, January 15th for the Coaches Show. With your interviewer, I'm Ross Levinsky. Joining us today was Assistant Coach Donald Butler. Shooting video for us is Doug Haston. And Station Manager James Terry, making everything you hear possible. So long, everybody. We'll see you on Tuesday at the SSHS main gym when the Lady Cats basketball team take on Mount Pleasant. See y'all then.